Anyway, yeah, we've done a lot of shows together, and there's a lot of names that you're familiar with. There's Michelle Wolven, of course. There's Will Bond. There's Jeremy Bain, whose business card you put up on your live stream that time. Well, not all of these people were just pawns in this, and we knew even as far back as Arkansas that there had to be some major interest choreographing all of this to happen, right? But we couldn't put a finger on it. We thought it was Will Bond working for the medical school in Arkansas because, that's kind of a lead. That is one of the places Dr. C went when she got her patent and wanted to work with some research hospitals. She took it to UAMS, to Arkansas Med School, and they basically said, "Oh, leave it with here. We'll give you $20 and or something ridiculous." And, well, anyway, I'm not going to say who, but a friend tipped me off to this while we were talking about the things that were going on in the trial. And because it was found out at such a late point in the proceedings, there was no way we had time to actually go to the defense counsel and tell them about this and have them bring it up at court. We didn't have all that takes time, in the legal process. You have to present your information and blah blah blah. So it came out really late. It's no less true, okay, but at the grand jury that happened about 2 years after the raid, and I think that was even connected to the trolls in our neighborhood that Michelle Wolven planted, because the grand jury summonses or subpoenas arrived about a week after friendly guy 2 doors down who came and picked a fight on my doorstep. Remember, I told you that story.
Yeah.
He had come. Well, Dr. C had been out of town. She came back. She was at our house. 2 doors down, there was this guy outside in his front yard with his phone pointed at her. And I just knew, yeah, he's sending a picture to somebody. Less than a week later, Jeremy Bain was at our door with, subpoenas. Anyway, at the grand jury, where I ended up having to testify, Wendy ended up having to testify, Dr. C, of course, ended up having to testify, there was this just vicious attorney. And he was listed on the paperwork as a junior U.S. attorney. But his name was Ryan. At the time, I thought it was Souders, but it's either Souders, Souders, Souders. Okay. Most vicious son of a bitch I've ever met in my life. I mean, the one thing that struck me about him after the experience was looking into his eyes. It was like looking into the eyes of a praying mantis. There was just nothing there. You look into somebody, when you talk to somebody, you look into their eyes and you can feel a connection, if you're communicating. It was like looking into the eyes of a robot or an insect or something. So I started calling him the insect on the podcast whenever we would talk about him. He grilled me over a $300 a week paycheck. How many hours did you put in for that $300 a week, Mr. Simmons? Like that was a crime. Like working for her was a crime. And how do you justify calling what she did therapy? And what else? Well, before how many?
Why did you stay there? Why did you continue working?
Why did you continue to work for her if you knew that people were dying? It was because I knew why they were dying. I was hearing the whole story, not just the pieces that that you're trying to present.
Right. And you had said you'd put out a document that I'm going to put a link on my website, howardnema.com.
And all of this is build up, and I'm making this too long, I know, but
no, it's okay. But it's all put together in an article. It'll be like updated as well. So I'll have a link to that so we can get the background on this whole thing. But yeah, let's continue. Yeah, continue, Randy. Go on. I'm sorry.
Ryan Souders, however.
Souders. So this guy's the real prick behind the whole thing.
He is. He's the kingpin, I think. Well, and as you'll see,
The big prick.
even he is upon a prostitute for the real thing that's making this happen.
Of course, yeah. These are all just muscle people, for lack of a better word. They're all they're not the brains of the operation.
Well, and I had mentioned the name Ryan Souders a lot. I knew how to spell it. I still don't really. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. But um, at some point, it was presented to me that he had a LinkedIn page, and I thought, that's interesting. Let me go take a look at his LinkedIn page. See what kind of a career history this guy has. Well. He started working for the Oklahoma U.S. Attorney's Office at the exact same time that the trial in Arkansas started going. Before that, he was a U.S. Attorney out of Virginia. And before he worked as a U.S. Attorney in Virginia, and most of his, at least on his LinkedIn page, most of the cases that he brags about are cases involving medical fraud, misbranded drugs and devices, and hacking.
How nice is that?
Cybersecurity. He has some endorsements in there from Interpol people.
Ooh.
He's I mean, his endorsements block is huge, man. It's like 500, 600 endorsements from all kinds of people. But you go back before the Virginia U.S. Attorney's Office, his big put him out on the map case was defending WebMD and getting them off the hook for money laundering. So he's a former prostitute.
I love it. Look at this guy.
He's a former prostitute. You see that picture?
That's what he is. Yeah.
He looks like Agent Smith, doesn't he?
Let me actually show this to the people.
Yeah.
I'll cut to the chase because we've talked about him a lot now. I'll cut to the chase. That's the backward timeline. Okay, going forward from the grand jury where I actually met him. It was maybe a month or two later that.
No, it wasn't 2 months because you testified in August. Okay.
Well, right. I mean, what I mean is, I testified in August, and it was less than a month after that the grand jury's verdict came out, which we all know was fed to them by Ryan Souders. They did not come up with this on their own. It was all because of his persuasion and his viciousness and the way he portrayed. Even the stacks of comments and testimonials that I brought and presented to the grand jury that they were compelled to take and put a stamp on and take it in as evidence. And I mean, I started getting passionate when I was reading these things. The jury knew that I was not being the least bit of acting or anything like that. That was real. I was feeling everything that I was saying. I even teared up in a few moments because some of these patient comments and some of the change.org petition comments that I was reading to them. And anyway, despite all of that, they gave an indictment of fraud to Dr. C. Less than 1 month later, according to Ryan Souders' resume online, he became a partner with Amgen Pharmaceuticals' legal department.
Wow.
And now he is the senior legal counsel with Amgen Pharmaceuticals. Now that she is basically on her way to the big house, he is senior legal counsel.
So he was promoted by making certain that they made an example out of her.
Well,
And,
yeah.
You know what it makes me want to do? It makes me want to put his ass on the stand and say, how much did Amgen pay you to indict her?
Exactly. How much?
How many hours did you put in for that promotion? And why do you call their drugs therapy?
Okay, you have to realize that Amgen is 120 billion worth corporation, but they have very few products. They don't have that many drugs. However, they do have Neupogen.
And it perpetuates chemo.
Well,
Really?
what Neupogen
Listen,
does is something they need to take after chemo or during chemo because chemo destroy the white count in the blood, and so you are open to infection. Neupogen brings back the white count into the blood, and it's only used for chemo patients. It doesn't matter what chemo they use; they all need Neupogen so they won't die of infection. So
so have more chemo.
their
So,
revenue is from chemo, patient taking chemo. If you eliminate the need for chemo, Amgen is out of work.
Of course.
It's
Yeah.
out of business.
There's obviously a motivation here. To do what they've done to you.
It's a smoking gun.
Of course.
and now
Anybody
it's
could see
smoke.
this, and you're not alone. There's others that do this to everybody. Anybody
Yeah.
that tries to rock the boat, they'll attack
Yeah.
them and find
Well,
ways to discredit them.
But here's the
Anything with
kicker.
natural cures.
Here's the cherry on the top. Here's the cherry on the top because here we are. We're little Dr. Carpenter. The news is portraying as this eccentric old lady with weird hair, and all of the articles that you see on the news sites, and all the hundreds of comments under those articles. Every damn one of them talking about her hair. Oh, look at the hair. Look at those. Look at that makeup. Look at those nails. Shallow ass bullshit. Because they have nothing else basically, but they want to attack. They want to jump on somebody when they're down. Okay. In the face of all this, I've been putting up Souter's. As soon as I found out, I started putting up Souter's LinkedIn page, taking screenshots of it, putting it on our Medical Conspiracy Facebook page, and then with a little link below. Go see for yourself. Go look at his LinkedIn page. It's not something I mocked up. And then just yesterday, I put some final edits on that WordPress article, and one of the things I did, because I started thinking, I'm posting his link around, and I know he's no stranger to the Medical Conspiracy Facebook page because he threw that up in my face during my questioning saying, oh, you were using this show to lure people into your scheme, weren't you? And so I went ahead and I saved a PDF copy of his LinkedIn page last week and made sure I got all of it, saved into PDF format. Yesterday, his LinkedIn page went offline.
What a shock!
Isn't that
Send me the
interesting?
link to that. I'll put it on my website too.
It's that interesting. It's all in that WordPress.
Oh, it's in that WordPress. I'll just duplicate
I got the link
it.
to.
Yeah, that's
I
great,
got the
man.
link,
Okay.
I have the link to his live LinkedIn page, which now goes to a special holding page saying this profile is not or this profile is experiencing issues or something, and underneath it, I put a little paragraph saying you may notice that this profile has been taken offline. Well, here's a PDF version for you.
Unbelievable. So let's break this down. What was it that they? Let's get down to the meat and potatoes of it. So all of these witnesses, all of the people, all of the evidence that you presented was negated completely, not even like
Ignored, like it
ignored
didn't
completely.
happen.
We'll never know if it was even paid attention to in jury, but we should know what came out of it. A pittance of innocent votes and a pittance of disagreeing votes. I think 3 came to a standstill they couldn't agree on.
And what were what in your case, what were the main points that they ignored?
Everything I presented, even the closing argument, they ignored everything. My testimony, they ignored everything. All they went by is what was presented by the prosecution. So I was accused of mail and convicted of mail fraud.
Well, how did they get mail fraud in all this?
Oh, because of the info packet that I was sending. The info packet that discussed my treatment and what happened and that's mail fraud.
Forget the fact that nothing in it was fraud. Forget
Right.
the fact that everything in it was true.
Mhm.